Freight Efficiency with NACFE's Mike Roth and Friends.
In episode 132, we have joining us Derek Turbide. He's Senior Vice President of Sales at Greenlane, where he talks about how he can bring what he learned from his time with natural gas to the battery electric side of our business. He also shares how charging sites are selected, Greenlane's Colton, California site, and the importance of making the charging experience better than the status quo. He also shares Greenlane's near-term plans for charging hubs, the impact of federal, state, and local policies, and why now is the best time to be planning for the future. Today we have joining us Derek Turbide. He's now Senior Vice President of Sales for Greenlane. We'll get into all that here in a minute, but welcome on the show, Derek. I'm glad to have you.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting half hour of, talking about you, your career, challenges that we're both facing in some of the, allied or combined or complementary work that we're both doing. So I want to dive in to a lot of the details, but before I do that, I always, this is Freight Efficiency with NACFE's Mike Roth and Friends. I always ask, and we have to figure out between you and me, how did we meet and become friends? Where did we first find out about each other, Derek? Do you remember?
Well, first, let me say I'm honored. We've only known each other for a couple of years at best. And I would say we became friends about a year and a half ago. And here's kind of how it went down, at least how I remember it. Like, I had seen the work you had done with Run on Less over the years. And when you guys announced Run on Less, Messy Middle, and that there was going to be multi-alternative fuel and propulsion technologies looked at through the run. I was at Clean Energy at the time, renewable natural gas fuel provider, and I went to Clean and I said, we need to be involved in this. Mike is like the Energizer Bunny. He's out there everywhere talking about the industry. He's been in it forever. He knows everyone. They really give all the alternative fuels a fair shake and show real world scenarios on what's being done out there. So we need to participate. And I'm not sure if I reached out to you or you reached out to me, but that's kind of how I remember it. And that was about a year and a half ago.
So tell us about the move from Clean Energy, the company, natural gas as a fuel, now to Greenlane and electricity. I mean, just tell us about you, your job, and what you're looking forward to.
I feel like the luckiest guy in the world, honestly. Recently finishing nearly 20 amazing years at Clean Energy, who's a fantastic first-class company, and now coming over to a fantastic first-class company that really is very much like Clean Energy was when I started there roughly 20 years ago. Except in the battery electric truck and commercial vehicle charging space. It's super exciting.
I think it's really interesting. I mean, I don't know if you're the first person that's done this, but, this is kind of like being traded from the Yankees to the Red Sox. Babe Ruth did that, right? So he did it from the Red Sox to the Yankees. So it feels a little like that. I mean, when we, these alternative fuels, I mean, we always say it's not a competition. We're going to have multiple ones win for different market segments. It's going to, we're going to have multiple fuels and engines and battery packs going forward.
Absolutely. You can imagine being somewhere employed for 20 years where, I could have probably finished my career there. It was a big move, but I just felt the timing was right for me. Like Clean Energy, Greenlane has a super culture. The people are fantastic, and it has a really strong foundation for success. I wasn't looking, but when the opportunity came along, frankly, it was just the type of company that I could see really moving the needle in the battery electric truck and commercial vehicle charging space. And, it's only been 5 weeks, but every day is more exciting. There's so much going on in this industry right now. It reminds me of where Clean Energy and the natural gas fueling industry was, 10 to 15 years ago, as things are really getting started. And there's a lot of technology out there and a lot of vendors and a lot of equipment suppliers. And it's exciting. They have a lot of movement behind it, and it's working, and fleets are proving it out there. So I think the best is yet to come, really.
What do you think are 3 to 5 things maybe, Derek, that you learned in working on bringing compressed natural gas and renewable natural gas to trucking that'll serve you really well when you're working with Greenlane and think about electricity?
Yeah, it's a really great question. There's so many things I've learned in 20 years in this alternative fuel space. When I started in this space, there was no Class A, like over the road natural gas truck. Cummins kind of tapped out at a 9-liter engine at the time. It was really for buses. And the only EVs really were passenger cars. And it was like a smart car that didn't even have power steering.
Mhm.
So to see how far it's come and to have grown through all the challenges and opportunities over almost 2 decades, definitely bring a lot to the table, which was one of the exciting things about joining a newer company like Greenlane that's got such strong backing. Any alternative fuel out there or technology has similar challenges, but also the same opportunity at hand. When it comes down to it, it's really a partnership. It may sound cliche, but trucking is very much a relationship business. Customer service is paramount, and being able to deliver on the promises that you make to your customers is so key and critical. And then scale, like grow. How fast do you grow this business? Do you build it and just plan for them to come, or do you move it along with the pace of the industry? And it's really the latter, depending on where you are in the environment at the time.
There aren't a lot of electric trucks out there for you to use as a proxy for where to put the charging stations. Yet we know by where the diesel trucks are going, that's probably where the freight moves and where the, electric trucks will end up being. So, walk us through Green Lane's plans and how do you, this is, you don't just put up a charging hub overnight and it doesn't cost a little bit of money. It's a big deal. So how do you pick the sites? And what's some of your strategies, and what's your plans?
So pick the sites based on where the deployments are happening and or plan to happen. No surprise, most of alternative fuels in heavy duty industry and others has come out of Southern California. So obviously that's kind of our hub area. And we built this amazing site in Colton, California. It's right off the I-10 and the 215 major freight corridor between Los Angeles and Arizona and up to Vegas. It's right there, centrally located. It's amazing. And you've seen it has a dozen tractor trailer accessible fast charging lanes, charging at a rate of 400 kilowatts. It has nearly 30 tractor or bobtail type, parking stalls with 240 kilowatt chargers. We've got a robust reservation system to make sure that we can meet everyone's needs when they're coming into the site. We have amenities on site. Really, we are trying to make this experience with battery electric truck charging better than the status quo of your regular old truck stop or depot fueling operation or lock.
I was impressed that you're walking before you run. I mean, get the chargers in the lobby and the lounge and the amenities, the business model or the early pioneering of these electric hubs where they help extend the range of likely trucks that are going back to base every night. But while they're out in your area, they can come in and the driver can get 30 minutes and you can get another 100 miles of range put into the truck to extend the amount of miles that truck's doing in that driver's hours of service. So I saw that real hand last year, and I wasn't sure that was happening yet, but there, lo and behold, there it was.
And the drivers love it. They really do like these trucks. They're quiet, they're clean, they don't smell like diesel at the end of the day. And we're
Right.
trying to make the charging experience, like I said, even better than their status quo.
What we're seeing, and we've interviewed 60 or 70 electric truck drivers, and the last 3 run on less efforts over the last 5 years. And one of the things that I've witnessed with them is they like the trucks so much that they want more of them. They want them for their friends, their buddies, their other employees, and they're excited about the technology. So they are all in helping the fleet be successful with electric trucks. And that's rare. Anytime you try to do change management, I don't care if it's in your family or in a billion-dollar business, the employees tend to like what they already have experienced and they don't really want to change a whole lot. But what we've seen with battery electric truck drivers, they're working to get better range. They're figuring out regen braking really fast. They are understanding how charging can work and what's going on with the whole charging piece. And so they're helping these technologies be successful, and that's a big deal, Derek. And I'm really excited about that because you don't have to overcome that resistance, at least at the driver level. Now, there's probably other areas of the business, but that's a really good thing. What's next for Greenlane?
We are focused on Southern California to Phoenix. That'll be our next lane that opens up. We'll have Phoenix, we'll have Blythe. So that's exciting. And then we have plans to go up the I-5 over the Grapevine, and then also up the I-15, and also the Texas Triangle between starting in Dallas and then Houston. And eventually we'll get to San Antonio the next few years as well. So that's kind of our near term, the next 5 years or so. We see about 10 new Greenlane sites coming online. And we're working with our fleet partners, and there's a lot of interest out there. That's the really exciting thing about this industry, is to hear and see firsthand what's going on out there and the growth.
One of the things we've learned at NACFE now, 17 years of technology adoption in trucking, is that, it's really important to focus first on the perfect application of a technology. And I mean, when I say perfect, I mean ones that has a good payback, but also the product can do the job. So it's a little bit of a counterintuitive with battery electric trucks. You want to get the high mileage to be able to pay back the higher cost of the truck and the infrastructure. But on the other hand, you've got range limitations and so forth. But those areas sure seem to be the right places to go, and really exciting. You said a few minutes ago that there's a lot of interest with the fleets and so forth. I mean, yes, there is, but we've got this regulatory pullback, and there's definitely I do almost a trucking show every week or something, or I'm out with the industry. I'm feeling a real pullback from some of the original plans and interest for battery electric trucks. Maybe it's a little of both. What are you seeing, or how do you think about it?
Yeah, I think, just the freight environment as it is today, and just the investment costs in new trucks alone, let alone an EV truck that may cost a bit more, it's challenging, right? And like I said, 20 years of this business, we've seen several, at least 4 peaks and valleys with interest out there. And drivers for interest in alternative fuels are quite often policy administrations at the federal and or local level when you get down to the state by state, but also fuel prices, right? That's very big drivers as well. And then, of course, sustainability. All those things, while some may ebb and flow in different areas, they're all still apparent. And with time, they will work themselves out. And we are in that mode where we're pacing our growth. We're not going out and going all out and building sites like we may have originally planned under a different administration with different rules and regulations. But the interest is still strong. It's just a matter of time. And frankly, now is the best time to be planning for the future. Okay, so it's not a mad scramble when it all comes down and things do about face.
One of the things you said earlier that I'd like to ask you about, and that is, the culture and the people. I've blogged about this a lot. We're finding with these new technologies, whether it's the fuels and the battery electric and so forth, or is it autonomy, connected vehicles and so forth? There's a excitement in trucking right now that I've never seen in my career. Of sometimes I actually think we're trying to do too much too fast, but it's attracting some great talent to an industry that I always thought was kind of, oh, that's just industrial, that's just trucks, right? There's nothing too sexy or exciting about it. Trucking's a little funner now, and we're seeing some a lot of increased diversity with that, and I think really an energy and an excitement that I think is going to help us solve these problems.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm glad you brought that up. To see the evolution of the trucking industry and transportation in general over 2 decades, and how much more open folks are to new technologies. Frankly, it doesn't phase the employee of today to talk about integrating battery electric trucks or renewable natural gas trucks or any type of new technology into their organization. They got to realize that that is what the future holds. And if you don't grow with it, then you may be left behind. So yeah, I totally agree with you in that regard. And it is exciting.
Yeah, it gives me confidence. I mean, you were with NACFE a couple weeks ago, just when you were starting your Greenlane role, when we did the potluck workshop out in Boulder, and there were 75 people there, and that group of people, Derek, is exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of women. We had PhDs in the room. We had experienced truckers in the room. We had people of color. We had just a real healthy, good diversity. I mean, that might be one of the more kind of diverse in all aspects, and I think it's really healthy and a great thing for our industry.
Frankly, was one of the reasons that attracted me to being involved with NACFE and Run on Less, because you're bringing all this to the forefront and presenting all the data on what's available out there. And reliable data sources are so critical to the decision-making process at the end of the day.
Let me just kind of close with, given the highs and lows and all this and the work, the 20 years of this work. I mean, what's some advice you have for our audience? I mean, what, when folks maybe get a little frustrated with the pace or with the environment, regulations, or this, that, and the other, what would be some advice you'd have for just how do we, tighten up our shoestrings and, get on with it? What kind of words of encouragement or best practices you would suggest?
Yeah, and this is a long game. It really is. It's not for the faint of heart, this industry. It's not transactional. It's like I said earlier, it's built on strong partnerships and all the stakeholders being all in. So if you aren't ready to do that in your function at a company, well, maybe look to sell something a little more transactional, because it really is a long game. And you stick at it and you've got a good product, good technology, good company, good people, it'll happen. And before you know it, you'll look back and say, shoot, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And that's where we're going at Greenlane. And I'm excited to get there.
Yeah, so I hear perseverance, but act fast and with purpose when the opportunities arise, because they certainly will. And when you got that, you kind of talked about the lining of the stars. When you got the dedicated people, whether it's the right people in the boat that are dedicated and not like fail at no cost or don't fail at any cost. It's like that's when the magic happens. So, hey, thank you so much for being on, Derek. Good luck in the role, and we'll see you somewhere soon.
Thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate it.
Freight Efficiency with NACFE's Mike Rosen Friends.